Hello and welcome to the Art of Artisan. Just a quick note before I get into today's deck. Would anyone be interested in doing an Artisan tournament? There have been some big Artisan tournaments run in Italian Discords, which can be a little bit tough because of time zone issues and because of the fact that you can't really communicate very well with the organizers sometimes or your opponents. So I've been thinking about running my own Artisan tournament. So if you're interested in that, please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to organize one. I'm just not sure how many people would be interested. If people see this more as a Artisan channel or if people see this more as a budget magic channel, I'm not actually sure. And I'm not actually sure which one I want it to be. So without any further ado, let's get into this deck. And the reason that tournaments have been on my mind is I just got second place in a big tournament. And first place was playing this deck. I was playing an Oketra's Monument deck. The recommission card is actually really nice as a way to protect my monument because everyone's running a braid because anvils everywhere. Anyways, but this deck, I stumbled a little bit against it and it just killed me so quickly. And this deck ended up winning the tournament. It was a fairly big tournament. It was the Historic Artisan Cup #3. And let's just talk about why this deck is so effective and consistent and kills people so fast. It has All That Glitters and Machiko's Reign of Truth, both of which are going to pump some creature to a ridiculous amount. And then it also has Mirror Enforcer, which is a cheap creature if we've got a lot of artifacts. And it's got Patchwork Automaton and Ingenious Smith, which both are going to grow as you cast artifacts. Or in the case of Ingenious Smith, you can literally play lands, because we've got artifact lands. This is 18 different payoffs for artifacts, and they all kind of work with each other. You can play Patchwork Automaton, then play a free Mirror Enforcer, then equip it with All That Glitters, and all those cards are pumping each other up, and so it just snowballs so quickly. But what made it especially bad for me with my Oketra's Monument deck, I'm okay with my opponent having giant creatures, because I can block them, right? Well, not when you're also playing these 8 evasive creatures in your deck. Barbed Spike, 2 artifacts for the price of 1. One of them is a flying creature, one of them's a equipment. Ginger Brute, literally unblockable. So even if I got a Clarion Spirit down and was making 1/1 blockers in the sky, this could still kill me if it's equipped with an All That Glitters or pumped by Machiko's Reign of Truth. And Vault Scourge. This card makes sure that you win the race. Against an aggro deck, if you can equip an All That Glitters to this and they don't have removal, you're going to be gaining 5 life every turn. Your opponent's going to be losing 5 life, and there's no way you can really race that with a generic aggro deck. So we've got evasive creatures that get really big. And then we've got a little bit of interaction in Metallic Rebuke and Portable Hole, and sometimes Moonsnare Prototype. I think this deck is super strong, but I think even though it got first place in the tournament, I don't think it's built that well. I think Moonsnare Prototype is probably a mistake in the deck, but, I mean, the player, Jarek Mace, he got first place, so I'm not going to judge him that much. I'm going to try it out and see how it feels. But this can also be interaction. It's a catch-all, pay 5 mana, get rid of something. And then lastly, when we're looking at this deck, and the reason why this deck is a historic deck, even more than Vault Scourge, is the bridges and Darksteel Citadel. These lands are indestructible artifacts, and we are running Ensoul Artifact. If you've seen my channel for a bit, you know I have a fun Grixis, sort of tempo-y, I'm not sure quite what to call it, but an Ensoul Artifact deck where we just get a 5/5 indestructible bridge, and we just start beating our opponent down with it. But what makes this Ensoul Artifact even better in this deck is not only do we have these 10 targets, we've also got unblockable creatures, some with lifelink. And we've also got a Ward 2 creature to stick it on. Like, it's just always going to be good. And that's kind of the theme of this deck, is it's all your cards are always good. There's very rarely going to be a time where you draw a card and go, oh man, like maybe you'll draw a Moonsnare Prototype or a Metallic Rebuke or a Portable Hole. Like your interaction you might feel bad about, but you're almost always going to have something to enchant with All That Glitters. Always almost going to have something to target with Machiko's Reign of Truth. And heck, even if you don't, this can be a weird, like, delayed suspend 2 creature that's pumped just off of your lands. So even if you have nothing on the battlefield, Machiko's Reign of Truth can be a decent creature eventually. So this whole deck is good, it's consistent, which is why I think it is extremely punishing of decks that want to go long. It's extremely punishing of decks that are at all inconsistent. So if you stumble for just a little bit, this deck will overtake you. I'm excited to play this deck. I know I have at least one of my viewers who is not a huge fan of Historic, but after losing in a tournament to this and without having any cards from the new set yet, I will be doing a draft today trying to collect some cards from the set. But I thought this would be a good way to get into Phyrexia without actually getting any of the cards from the new set. Being a free-to-play content creator, one of the downsides, I can't just immediately have all the cards when the new set comes out. So we're just going to play an artifact-centric deck, which kind of fits the Phyrexian theme. We've even got a Phyrexian in the deck. And I just lost to this yesterday in grand finals of a tournament, so it seemed the perfect time to play it. If you want to look at a sideboard, once again, I don't think this is an optimal sideboard. I think there are better options. Like, Arcbound Mouser is an okay option as life-linking artifact creature. I can see the value of it. I'm just not sure that's the best option. Disenchant's solid. Banishing Slash, I guess, is okay. But, like, I don't know. It doesn't... Like, Cliffhaven, Kite Sail, a lot of these feel okay. And so, I'm not sure if this is the optimal version of the deck, but it was strong enough to win a tournament. So, who am I to judge? And without any further ado, let's get into the games. Game number 1, playing against Bright Hammer. And you may notice that I'm in Silver 4 right now. I've not had very much time to play Magic recently, been dealing with some differential equations homework that has been kicking my butt. I think regardless of our rank, we'll still get to a good idea of how powerful this deck is. And yeah, this is pretty solid. We've got a turn 2 Vault Scourge into a turn 3 Machiko's Reign of Truth, which is like kind of medium, but I mean, our Machiko's Reign of Truth is going to be pretty powerful on the turn that we play it. Yes, we've already got really all the colors of mana we need. We will be paying life for this. Now, Vault Scourge is a 1-drop if you're willing to pay 2 life. We've only got 3 black sources in the whole deck. We're really planning to pay life for it, which is completely fine, considering it's going to get us back our life very quickly. Okay, is there any chance I can hold up Metallic Rebuke? So if I play this... No, it won't work. Alright, so we're just gonna Machiko's Reign of Truth and hope our opponent doesn't have removal, which it looks like they do. I suppose maybe I shouldn't have kept this hand, because I have, like, no second threat. And Vanishing Verse will take care of that threat. Oh, that threat. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, opponent, let us get in for 5. Next turn we can play all that glitters and then Machiko's Reign of Truth, and especially if our opponent taps out, I'm just going for it, and we're gonna... Yeah, that's good enough for me. Oh. That might even be better. No, that's not better yet. Because if I play this and Machiko's Reign of Truth, the land will be tapped. So I think I just want to all that glitters on the Vault Scourge, while I'm fairly certain my opponent can't remove it, into Machiko's Reign of Truth. And then I'll Ensoul Artifact a bridge and start beating down with that later. And here we go. That's a 15-15 flyer coming in at our opponent. We are up to 38 life. Holy cow. Good game, opponent says. Yeah, it's definitely good game if they can't answer this Ensoul Artifact as well. Oh, okay. That'll help. They gain 2 life, which is very significant here, because I guess technically we can't not use that trigger, so if our opponent can untap that, that's kind of cool. Wandering Emperor eventually can make a friend. We're going to tap a blue here and a white here, and we will Ensoul Artifact our Darksteel Citadel, as it is the land we're most likely not wanting. And we'll swing in at the Wandering Emperor. And we're about to see, once again, Machiko's Reign of Truth. I mentioned this in the intro. Even without a creature on the battlefield, it's decent just because it eventually turns into this big creature, which in this case is going to be a 6/6. And then we're going to cast Mirror Enforcer, and it will be even bigger. We've got counter magic up. We've got a lethal threat on board. If our opponent doesn't block this, we'll soon have 2 lethal threats on board. They do block it. And if I cast this, I will not have the mana to Metallic Rebuke. I'll be 1 short. Metallic Rebuke, you can tap artifacts to cast it. This turn they could be Farewelling. I think actually my best play is just to play it slow. Really the only thing that kills me is something like a Farewell here. Darksteel Citadel is, I guess they could like Vanishing Verse and Soul Artifact or something, but Portrait of Machiko will still be on the field. Like if our opponent really wants to reset the game, they do have a Halls of Storm Giants now. They're going to need some kind of sweeper, and I'm ready to counter that. Okay, now I can afford to play this, and then I can tap it to help pay for Metallic Rebuke if it resolves. If my opponent tries to do something while I'm tapped out, I have Darksteel Citadel I can tap to protect it. So I'm feeling pretty safe to play that. And we're swinging in. Please no Wandering Emperor. Actually, I guess Wandering Emperor is fine. We can counter it. Alright, opponent. You've got 1 play. And you have to deal with an indestructible land that's a 5/5, and a 7/7, and a 4/4. Okay, that doesn't win. Yep, we win. I'm like, oh, actually, I guess I needed to counter that, because if they killed the Mirror Enforcer, I couldn't counter whatever they play next. But I think we were good if we countered that. Yeah, I had fun in that match. Oh, let's go to game number 2. Game number 2 versus Ryuzaki 88. And we've got turn 2 Patchwork Automaton that we can then suit up with all that glitters. We don't actually have blue mana, so we can't Ensoul Artifact the Darksteel Citadel yet. But this is a fantastic hand. Yeah. Definitely a keep. And I really do like one other thing about this deck is how many colorless cards they've got. Because it makes it so that we can run these 4 Darksteel Citadels without feeling that bad, which is really an upside of the deck for sure. Options here. I can't cast Moonsnare Prototype. I was thinking I could for a second. So yeah, I don't think there's much we do here. Just let them hit us with this Robber. Yep, no blocks. And I think our win condition here is do stupid stuff with Vault Scourge. I think we really need to stick a Vault Scourge and then all that glitters it. I think that's like our best hope of getting out of this. Our opponent may just remove it, but if they tap out, they are in serious trouble. So we're going to play the Vault Scourge. Patchwork Automaton is now a decent blocker. If our opponent taps out or anything, we have a great... Well, we have a lifelinking flyer, which is going to be huge, and there... Oh yeah, I think we win. That more or less seals it up. So we could block here. However, we actually would prevent 2 damage is all. And by leaving Patchwork Automaton on the battlefield, we're going to gain another life from all that glitters. And yeah, we just cast all that glitters on the Vault Scourge and feel pretty good about our situation. We'll swing in with a 7/7 lifelinking flyer. I mean, our opponent does have an axe, and an axe with Ember Cleave could win here. That's actually something I probably should have considered before I did this. Next turn, I'm thinking about... Oh man, do they really have it? If I draw planes next turn, I can All That Glitters and Barbed Spike and pretty much win. Actually, if I All That Glitters on its own, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'll have 6 plus 6. Okay. Even if Patchwork Automaton is gone, All That Glitters is lethal this turn. So all we need is our opponent not to have Ember Cleave, and even if they do, I think we still got him. Yeah, I think we've got him here. Unless they can kill our 6/6 Vault Scourge, which there's like a 3 mana burn for... Yeah, we for sure got him. We'll cast in All That Glitters. And that is a 13/13 Vault Scourge. And for good measure, in case they've got like some weird 1 mana red, remove an artifact. Well, I guess that would win for them anyways, but we'll swing in for 17. Oh. Good thing I went overboard here. I did not realize that had reach. I'm feeling kind of dumb at the moment, but... I mean, what's our opponent going to do? An aggro deck against 31 life. A red deck trying to remove a 17/17 creature. Like, they can delay the inevitable, but I don't think they can keep up with the amount of life we're gaining, and they cannot. And we're just crushing it so quickly. Oh, man. We're going to be out of silver in no time. All right, on to the next game. Game number 3 versus Aeronautin. And this is a bit of a slow hand. However, it's also an interactive hand. And a lot of draws make it good. I think it's a keep. This deck just, every card that we draw can make this hand better. And that's good enough reason to keep this, I think. We can obscure a lot of details about our deck, like the fact that we're running a counter spell by just running out Darksteel Citadel into Vault Scourge on our first turn. I think that's probably the best play. Vault Scourge will eventually make up for the life. And frankly, we don't care about our life total as much as we care about our opponent's life total with this deck. There's a Plains, that's okay. I think we actually, well, yeah, it doesn't matter because we're going to be tapping our Vault Scourge anyways. Portable Hole and Metallic Rebuke, by the way, is a fantastic combo, because Portable Hole, all we want it to do is sit on the battlefield, but in a weird way, it's also a mana rock for Metallic Rebuke. Oh, please play like a wizard or something. No wizards? Darn. We're drawing just lands. I'm getting punished for my decisions. I'm going to play the Plains. So now we can play... That gives us the most combination of possible cards we can play next turn. If we like draw an artifact land, then we can play that and still have all of our options up. Like, I think that's the best option. Play the Plains there. Opponent is doing something potentially unfair. When I see an Izzet deck, first of all, Frostboil Snarl, so it's kind of a budget deck. It's also kind of a... And it's an Izzet deck that's playing nothing and is playing budget options. My jankometer is skyrocketing right now. I'm expecting some serious jank from the opponent. Which means Metallic Rebuke might just win us the game. very quickly. Like, this might be not Jeskai, what's the one? Prismari Command? Oh, Cycling Shark Typhoon. Okay. I'm surprised that they didn't do that in combat to catch me off guard. Yeah, that's very weird to me. Okay, we can hold up Metallic Rebuke if we Portable Hole still. So we will Portable Hole, get rid of the blocker, and continue the 1-1 beats. Okay, we've got 22 different cards in our deck that are payoffs for having a bunch of artifacts. We should draw one soon. Like, we can get, like, some of the worst ones. Patchwork Automaton wouldn't be that great here. Maybe I should have kept this in my hand, actually. Just in case we drew Ingenious Smith, I could cast Ingenious Smith, then play the land to pump it up. But not looking too bad. Oh, I hope. If our opponent is looking at our lands and goes, they're artifacts, and tries to use Field of Ruin on them, they'll just ramp us a card, because they can't destroy them. They're indestructible. So that is potentially one of the funniest things that could happen to us in these coming turns, is our opponent trying to Field of Ruin us to lower our artifact count. A Mirror Enforcer would be a decent draw. Machiko's Reign of Truth, incredible draw. Same with All That Glitters is a little bit worse than Machiko's Reign of Truth, especially because our opponent appears to be more controlling. Machiko's Reign of Truth, not only is it a pump spell, it's also eventually another threat. And it's a threat with Suspend, which means our opponent can't really board wipe us. Oh, they did it! They did it! Oops. I'm gonna be that guy and say oops. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, opponent, but that's a big mistake. I guess we'll take a Plains. Doesn't really matter at this point. We've got more than enough mana to do everything. Maybe they needed the colored mana. I don't know, but they just ramped us a card for free. They were thinking they were getting rid of our only black source. Which, like, I guess maybe could matter, but our opponent's not really pressuring our life total, so I don't think we need black mana ever in this matchup. Yeah, we will Metallic Rebuke that immediately. Autopay. Autopay uses Portable Hole. I love it. Okay. Opponent probably is gonna... Oh, they did need the red mana. They literally Field of Ruined just to get the red mana to get the sweeper. Okay. That was a good play on our opponent's end. Another Metallic Rebuke. If they try to Anger of the Gods us again, oh, it's gonna end so badly. But we are really whiffing on drawing payoffs. We have drawn almost a fourth of our deck, and a third of our cards, more than a third of our cards, are payoffs for having lots of artifacts, and we have not drawn a single one. That's the worst one. Okay, they now have 6 mana. But they didn't try to cast an Anger of the Gods that turn. Patchwork Automaton, if I play it, swing in, they'll be down to 6 life, and then I can swing in. If I draw any artifact spell, Patchwork Automaton speeds up my clock by 1 turn. I don't think that's worth it. I think it's just best to keep applying pressure. This is going to be a bounce spell, a Shark Typhoon, a removal spell. Blitz of the Thunder Raptor. Dealing 1 damage to our Ginger Brute. Okay, it might have been the right call to play Patchwork Automaton. Actually, one value of Patchwork Automaton here is the Ward 2 on it. Actually, our opponent just played Blitz of the Thunder Raptor. They would not have done that if they have a sweeper in hand. So I will play this, knowing that my opponent most likely doesn't have a sweeper. The Ward 2 on this is a huge threat for our opponent, and it makes Metallic Rebuke a lot better, even though our opponent has a lot of mana. Sinister Sabotage. Opponent's kind of desperate, and I don't want them to surveil. Like, that draws them one card faster, which actually, in a weird way, like, yeah, this is a good counter here, I believe. This slows down our opponent from reaching the spell that answers our battlefield by 1 turn. Potentially, if they have to dig with that Surveil. And it also speeds up our clock pretty significantly. But we are in trouble if our opponent just has a sweeper. Although, frankly, against an Izzet Control deck, we could just win by drawing in Soul Artifact. This takes 6 mana to turn on. They have 6 mana, so it would be tapping itself. So we'll just swing in with these. I could have played Portable Hole on nothing. That was an option. Okay, they might be Shark Typhooning here. Nope, just an Abrade. Okay. Yeah, we just need to draw, like, if our opponent tries to sweep us here, and then we draw on Soul Artifact, we win. Because our lands do not have Summoning Sickness. They have been on the battlefield for a while. And I don't see a way that our Izzet opponent, besides a counterspell, I don't see a way of them stopping an In-Soul Artifact. Okay. In-Soul Artifact for the win. We Portable Hole. Our opponent appears to have something. Okay, they have Dissipate. Perfect, we win. Alright. Now all we need to do is In-Soul Artifact the evasive creature. And swing in for 5. At our opponent's face. Well, our opponent kind of did nothing. It was a bit of an awkward game from their end. Yeah, so not much to say there. I think just sticking early threats against a deck full of counter spells is what happened there. Our opponent was a little bit too heavy on the counter spells, which means if we can actually stick something early, they have no way to come back. So I guess we'll take it. On to game number 4. Game number 4. Playing against Miguel. And 0 threats. We've got a total, let me think, 2, 4, 8, 12, 16. We've only got 18 threats in the deck. I don't think we can keep a 0 threat hand. This is an In-Soul Artifact Bridge hand with Ingenious Smith, which, by the way, Ingenious Smith also can hit land drops for us. We've got Vault Scourge, all that glitters. This is all great. Mirror Enforcer, despite being a fantastically strong card, is actually just weaker than a lot of the cards in our deck. Our deck is just so powerful and low to the ground. Like, top decking it in the late game is great. It's usually a free 4/4, which we will never complain about. But I think it's just not as good in an opening hand. So I guess another props to the deck builder for having the foresight to put only 2 in the deck. Because having them cluttering your opening hand seems really bad. So our game plan here, as I'm looking at it, as weird as it might seem, I think we're actually going to lead with Goldmire Bridge. The reasoning on that being, there's a weird chance that we want to play Vault Scourge without losing life. It seems like a really low chance, though. Is there any merit to just playing Darksteel Citadel Vault Scourge? I think that slows us down too much. I think we're going to want to be on 2 mana for a couple turns in a row. In fact, I don't think we're going to lead with Vault Scourge. I think we're going to play Ingenious Smith. And then we might, depending on what we draw, we might Vault Scourge and immediately all that glitters it to get it out of burn range from our red opponent. And that should give us a really solid blocker against their aggro deck. Patchwork Automaton. Okay, opponent's holding up 2 red mana in what feels like a mono-red deck, especially because they're running snow-covered mountains. I'm getting large vibes that we are facing a Bone Crusher Giant here, which makes Patchwork Automaton the play, as it has Ward 2. And then next turn, we can play Ingenious Smith, immediately pump it up with Goldmire Bridge. Then the turn after that, we can play Vault Scourge, and immediately all that glitters it up. Okay, yeah, that feels like a good game plan. If we're more desperate if we're more scared of our opponent having crazy removal, we can Ensoul Artifact Darksteel Citadel instead of Vault Scourge all that glitters. I don't think that's going to be a good play. Oh, that's a solid card against Patchwork Automaton. That makes me pretty happy that... Oh, wait. This is our chance. Okay, how big will Vault Scourge be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll be a 6-power creature. I don't think even if our opponent Ember Cleaves, they can't kill us. It'll be a 6-power creature. We can make it even bigger by ensouling it. I think, yeah, while our opponent's tapped out, now is the time to go. We'll be paying life for this. And immediately all that glitters it. Our opponent is not likely to be able to remove that in a red deck. They'll need like 2 lightning strikes, which means a land drop and 2 lightning strikes in their hand. Okay, that's a land drop. I swear, if I jinxed it and my opponent has lightning strike ×2. Okay, that's fine. They can't swing in. Brutal. Now, we can just Ensoul Artifact the Vault Scourge and get in for incredible amounts of damage. That will be +4, 5, 6 damage. We can get him for 12 life-linking damage. However, Torbran is scary. Torbran is so scary. So I may just Ingenious Smith to get a free blocker. All right, what kills us? Embercleave kills us. That's really the only card that kills us. And if they have Embercleave, we don't want to block with Vault Scourge. So I think the plan is just make Vault Scourge as massive as possible. Gain a bunch of life, put our opponent to the test. Can you kill us from 26 life right now? They have to kill us this turn, more or less. And I guess Robber of the Rich. No. Okay. They were looking at our Vault Scourge, and I thought for a second that they had it. Oh, they attacked. Why did they attack? They had a reach creature. They had a reach creature, and they threw it away. Oh, no. Yeah, we win. We would have had a chump blocker next turn anyways. On to game 5. Game number 5. Playing against Mossy. For the perfect record, if we win this, we will not have dropped a game with this deck. And that is a pretty solid looking hand. Okay, what's the order that we play this? I guess it'll depend on what our opponent's doing, but this is definitely a keep. We might actually lead with Razortide Bridge. Ooh, okay, that's annoying. Okay, I can Portable Hole this turn, Ingenious Smith next turn. Do I want to Portable Hole a Soul Warden? Depends on what kind of life gain deck this is. It could be a Heliod combo deck with Coco. It could just be a mono white, a Johnny's Pridemate pile. I'm not entirely certain. Alright, Portable Hole was the wrong call, but that's okay. We're probably just going to outpace them anyways. And this Portable Hole can be a 5/5 if we really want it to be. Portable Hole. Yeah, that's a pretty good card against these life gain decks most of the time. Although they didn't play a 2-drop that turn, which makes me think they're a little bit of a bigger deck. Yep, Skyclave, killing the Smith, or the Portable Hole to get back a... Oh yeah, we've got a life game player. They do not care about my game plan. All they care about is get that life gain. The life gain gamer life. And this turn is a little bit tricky. How do we want to play this out? I think we want to get down the bridge so we can Ensoul it next turn and swing in with it. So our options are, we probably want to Portable Hole. Portable Hole gets rid of one of their Soul Wardens. And then we will swing in with the Ingenious Smith. See what our opponent does. We are happy to trade with the Skyclave, darn. And we will cast a Ginger Brute, just as a blocker for their Soul Warden. Which is not looking too great yet. They have yet to show us a single life gain payoff, and they are playing green, which means we need to start thinking about Coco very soon. Banishing Light to kill a 2/2 Ingenious Smith. Those are the kind of plays we want to be seeing from our opponent. Now let's hope they have payoffs for how high their life is. Moonsnare Prototype. To get back Ingenious Smith to draw another artifact could be a useful little value thing here at the end of the game. Yeah, we will just do this. In Soul Artifact on the Razortide Bridge. Good luck, opponent. We're going to start bashing in for big damage. How do you want to block? I feel like this is the first game where we haven't had a Vault Scourge, and I've actually been slightly worried about our life total. It's a little weird to play this post-combat, but I feel like it could have affected how they chose to block. And I think the 1 damage is not as important as potentially throwing off our opponent's knowledge. Oh boy, that's a problem. Trelisara is a problem. We may need to start eventually leaving back Razortide Bridge as just an infinite chump blocker. Trelisara also grows whenever we play a creature. That is an issue. Skyclave Apparition. All right, so how do we want to play this? If we make their Trelisara big, potentially a problem. I do want to play Patchwork Automaton. Start getting a second big blocker. So Razortide Bridge can block Trelisara no matter how big Trelisara is. We're going to lose to the stupid life gain deck. You know what? We can take 1 turn of hits. We'll do this. Yep. You gain some life. And we can tap our bridge to play Barbed Spike. However, we're probably going to be needing to tap our bridge to get our Ingenious Smith back at some turn. So I don't think we can afford to take a hit this turn. So we'll swing in with single Ginger Brute. We will make it unblockable. Our opponent doesn't have any creatures with haste, right? Yeah, we're good. Get our opponent down to their starting life total. They may have payoffs that have to do with their life total, so actually, now that I'm thinking about it, every damage point does count. They are looking very low on action, though. They do have Trelisara to guarantee they draw more. Scrying to the bottom, good. I mean, like, scrying to the bottom means their scry actually did something. However, it also means that... Oh, is this the correct play upon it? What are the odds that they can gain life at instant speed? Not too high. So I think this trade is absolutely worth it. Like, we force our opponent to have some sort of action they can take. And even if they do, all we do is lose a Ginger Brute. Yep, that's an indestructible land, opponent. Oh, they had a second Trelisara. Fair play. Fair play, opponent. I still think we made the right call there, for sure. Because, like, if we can get a portable hole... Actually, do we only have 2 portable holes in the deck? No, we've got more in the deck. So yeah, we have a chance to remove this Trelisara, and then they won't have a backup one anymore because we just forced them to play it. So it was definitely the right call to get rid of their Trelisara. Moonsnare Prototype. All right, we just need a land. Actually, Moonsnare Prototype is a land in a weird way. Yeah, so we can Barbed Spike, get our opponent's Trelisara a little bit bigger. But we've also now got a flying threat. And if you look at our artifact count, we are at a lot. Sitting at exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to get +8 from an all that glitters sort of effect. Patchwork Automaton can now block Skyclave Apparition. We've got an infinite chump blocker for Trelisara. They can remove Insult artifacts with like a Banishing Light sort of effect, which is a little bit scary. But we will pass the turn there. Well, yeah, getting a second bridge and Insult artifact down would be really good. All right, there goes our Insult artifact. Unless our opponent is absolutely focused on, yeah, they made the right call. Correct play, opponent. I respect that. In 2 life, the Trelisara is up to 7. Even if we wanted to, we can't really kill it. Let's see, what's the right call here? I think we take 1 hit from Trelisara. Pass to blockers and accept. We get hit by Dodonk. Michiko's Reign of Truth. Okay, we can Michiko's Reign of Truth. That's an okay option. Or we can just hold up Moonsnare Prototype to channel, get back our Ingenious Smith, play the Ingenious Smith, potentially find a portable hole, and kill Trelisara next turn with that. I say kill with heavy air quotes. Chico's Reign of Truth gives our flyer +8, which is not enough to 2-turn clock our opponent, correct? It's going to be, actually, if we play Moonsnare Prototype, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, +9. This will be swinging in for 11 twice. Our opponent also is potentially gaining life. That's not going to be enough. So yeah, we just do nothing. As our opponent spams your go at us. We're probably going to chump block with Ginger Brute. Although if our opponent does something crazy, we can always emergency Moonsnare Prototype something besides the Banishing Light. Yeah. Okay. Trelisara turns into an 8/8. They're sacking to draw. They already played a land this turn. That's definitely not the right play. You should always save that for, I guess, you have nothing in hand. There's no reason to do that. But it's probably the right call to do it on my turn. Okay, Moonsnare Prototype. I trash-talked it during the intro, but it's going to do some work here. We'll pass to blockers. Yep. Ginger Brute goes here. Now, one downside is we are giving our opponent back a Banishing Light next turn. Did they scry to the top? Someone in the YouTube comments, hurry, tell me, I need to know. If they scry to the top, then Moonsnare Prototype is especially good here because we're delaying them from drawing whatever good card they wanted. Potentially. We also could just be Banishing Light. Auto pay. We will tap Portable Hole to pay for it. Banishing Light, where do you want to put it, opponent? If you put it on top, then you don't get whatever you scry to the top this next turn, but you do get Banishing Light, which is a fairly good card. However, no matter what, I'm getting an Ingenious Smith, which finds me some artifacts, which I probably want. Portable Hole. Vault Scourge, not good enough here. We need Portable Hole. Let's remove our opponent's action. Now, the problematic thing here is Our opponent, oh, we draw Vault Scourge naturally. Oh, that's so good. So we'll Portable Hole Trelisara. Even if they get Trelisara back, we are going to, by Banishing Lighting it, did they choose to put Banishing Light on the bottom? They did. Interesting. Okay, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, still not lethal, so I don't think it's worth playing Machiko's Reign of Truth here yet. We will pay 2 life here, which is a little bit scary. However, we are about to start gaining some serious life. I'm sorry, opponent. I am a streamer. I like to talk. No attacks here, I don't think. Yeah, even if they play something that has a payoff for being above a certain amount of life, like Righteous Valkyrie, per se, we can get them, we can either kill the Valkyrie next turn or get them below that life. I guess Righteous Valkyrie is a problem, but we wouldn't be able to stop it anyways. And Speaker of the Heavens can't activate the turn they play it. We are about to hit our opponent for more than enough life to offset it. Okay, that's scary. Did they really... Okay, so they scried Speaker of the Heavens to the top. So I gain my opponent 1 life by playing this. I lose myself 2 life, but I also make Machiko's Reign of Truth 1 more powerful. So this is kind of free. I'm paying 1 life to get a 1/1 life-linking flyer. That's probably worth it. Tapping our Portable Hole. Getting our Patchwork Automaton a little bit bigger. And our Ingenious Smith a little bit bigger. I didn't think of that. So yeah, that was 100% worth it. So now that's another one that can favorably block a Skyclave Apparition. You're now going to get our opponent low enough on life that they no longer can just rely on Speaker of the Heavens. And just to make absolutely certain they don't gain enough life, I'm going to swing in with the Barbed Spike as well. Small misplay on my part. I probably should have moved the Barbed Spike onto Vault Scourge, simply to give myself more life, to prevent my opponent from somehow just like Righteous Valkyrie, or like Coco for Righteous Valkyrie into immediate win. Banishing Light, what's it going on? Machiko's Reign of Truth. That seems like the obvious play. They definitely don't want to swing in right now. And Patchwork Automaton, good old Patches. Pumps up the Ingenious Smith. Doesn't do too much else right now. It gains our opponent 1 life. They can gain 3 life. Really is maximum next turn. So I think we are fine to just play this. Yeah, I'll pay for that. Get our Ingenious Smith a little bit bigger. Get our Patchwork Automaton a little bit bigger. I'm not too worried about our opponent Alpha striking us now, because there's no way they can get a Righteous Valkyrie turned on. So I think this is a big swing turn, actually. We're going to start focusing on killing our opponent. If you're our opponent, you really don't want to swing out right now. You lose so much value. We've got this 4/4 blocker. Oh, I should have moved Barbed Spike over to Patchwork Automaton, potentially. Okay. Opponent gains 3 life. And they give up. That's an alpha strike of I give up. We're going to block Speaker of the Heavens. Probably their most threatening. Actually, no, we're going to block a Skyclave Apparition is all. Speaker's the biggest threat. There's like no chance we're dying anytime soon. Get down to 11. Oh no. That's another Vault Scourge. We can just cast that pretty easily. Done. Auto pay. And I think, do we have lethal now with that? I really want to say math is for blockers, but our opponent probably kills us on the backswing. Okay, that's They block this, they take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 is all. This is not Alpha Strike time. This is swinging in with a couple of friends. If they block with Lunarch Veteran, they gain some life. So I think we're just swinging with the Flyers this turn. And my computer is lagging out. It's not letting me click things. Okay, we're good. Too many life gain triggers on the stack. Computer broke. And just in case something crazy happens, we want to maximize our defensive life gain. So we'll put the Barbed Spike on the blocking Vault Scourge. And what can our opponent draw that gets them out of this? Coco for an infinite combo. Coco for Heliod and Skuriok. Just surprise, we're a Heliod combo deck. That would get me pretty good. Okay, Goldmire Bridge. Not super great at the moment. Does pump up our Ingenious Smith. Our opponent can gain like 5 life every turn, so we're actually kind of in a weird stalemate. I'm not even going to bother to move Barbed Spike over anymore, even though that is the optimal play. For some reason, we might want the Barbed Spike on something else. I don't know. I guess actually it might be optimal to keep it on that, because there's a weird chance that our opponent bounces Moonsnare Prototype and we need all the mana. They are a Heliod deck. Oh gosh. Oh no, our opponent's a Heliod deck. Ah! Okay, we need to draw all that glitters. We need to draw all that glitters or Machiko's Reign of Truth before our opponent draws another creature. And Soul Artifact. What does that do for us? That gives us an infinite blocker potentially. Or it gives us a really strong Vault Scourge. Really strong Vault Scourge can outpace our opponent. This is not a... Oh, they can give lifelink to anything they want? Gross. Alright. I guess we're just going to put this on the Vault Scourge. Yeah, we'll pay 2 mana. Tapping a portable hole containing a Soul Warden. Now got a 6/5 Vault Scourge. Even if our opponent doesn't draw a creature, they can start surviving via giving stuff lifelink with Heliod. Oh gosh. All of a sudden the game turned around once our opponent hit Heliod. And we're just not drawing our big payoffs, the All That Glitters, the Machiko's Reign of Truth. Either of those would give us just immediately... Oh, that's game probably. That might be game. Our opponent still has mana to give their Skyclave Apparition lifelink, which is a big problem. It won't put us low enough on life that we're actually scared of immediate death, however. So, I think it is correct to just let the Skyclave get in this turn. Oh my gosh, they're just gonna... And they're scrying to the top. Okay, they've got something on top. If they pump that up, they're gonna have 22 life. Okay, we'll take it. That's totally fine. 10 damage to the face, whatever. Blocks. Can we deal 22 damage? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different artifacts. Which means this Vault Scourge will be swinging in for... Oh, that would have been so... No, it wouldn't have been. It would have prevented them from gaining life, is all. And they can still gain life this turn. Ah, they're scrying to the top. Did we actually just lose to this deck? Oh, so stupid. Swinging with just the Vault Scourge, I think. Actually, no. We got to keep the pressure on, and we got to be gaining life. Thopter can be a free blocker. Depending on what our opponent tries to play this turn, like if it's a 3-mana card, oh my gosh, Metallic Rebuke, or even 1 mana card, we can turn off Heliod Lifegain. We turned off Heliod Lifegain and prevented them from playing a creature. Oh my gosh. We got him. Oh, we got him so good. No Heliod Lifegain for you, opponent. Oh, oh, we have another chance. We have another chance. We have another chance. We have such a high chance of getting what we need this turn. Let's see, how many, what's the percentage chance of us just winning this next turn? We've got 7 cards in the deck that are like for sure wins. That's not huge, but it's like 20%. We could just win right here. We win! Ah! Get wrecked, opponent. Metallic Rebuke to not only stop the Collected Company. Oh my gosh, the fact that they played a 4-drop there. A 1-drop or a 2-drop. They could have just, if they played a 1-drop or a 2-drop, they could have paid for Metallic Rebuke, or they could have just chosen not to and gone crazy with Heliod, with life gain on the Skyclave Apparition. They would have gained a bunch of life, though, if they had have just played a creature, so I don't know. Well, we got them. If they played a 3-drop and we Metallic Rebuke, they can still just choose to play Heliod. It had to be really a 4-drop. If they didn't tap out for a 4-drop, we won. Actually, I think even the right play for our opponent there might have been just swinging with Skyclave Apparition and Trelasara and give them both lifelink. That probably was our opponent's best play there, even though they had Coco in hand. Which seems a little bit crazy. I guess if they hit 2 creatures, they gain 10 life, which means they're well out of range of dying. Yeah. So I guess playing Coco was the right play for them there. It's just Metallic Rebuke and the fact they only had 1 mana left. Oh, that was so good. And we get the perfect record. Let's get to the deck wrap up. Easy 5-0. Wasn't even worried that last game. And the deck did incredible. Now, looking at the deck, not like we did in the intro, looking at the mana curve, you might see this really awkward pile of 2-drops, and then a couple cards that aren't. However, this deck, first of all, this is kind of a 1-drop, but also, we're running a bunch of tap lands. I guess only 7, but 7 tap lands, we're fairly often drawing a tap land. And this is a cool trick if you're generally deck building an Artisan. It's not something that pops up really anywhere else besides Artisan and Pauper. But the more awful your curve is, the better tap lands are. Because tapped lands aren't going to mess up your curve when you're already playing off curve. Similarly, if we're already playing a bunch of tapped lands, having an awful curve isn't as terrible because we're already going to be playing off curve. And we got to see that in that last game, especially, like, timing the lands right. We could be playing a 2-drop into a 2-drop, and that was still using our mana efficiently. And with Soul Artifact, that also does some weird stuff with kind of removing a land. Anyways, that's my one random thought deck building tip from this video. The deck did amazing. Metallic Rebuke was kind of an all-star, especially saving us that last game. It beat the Izzet Control, maybe, deck. We did super well. Michiko's Reign of Truth and All That Glitters on a Vault Scourge, I think, won us all 5 games. All 5 games were Vault Scourge getting pumped up to a ridiculous amount, except for the one where we just slowly beat them down with Vault Scourges. Actually, no, I think we Soul Artifacted it. Yeah, so definitely an all-star of this deck. I love this card after playing with it. This is actually my first time playing it. I crafted all 4 copies for this deck, and man, if I'm building an artifact aggro deck, this is the first card I'm going to include if I'm in Historic. Like, so good. Patchwork Automaton, I think, is worse in this deck than a lot of other artifact decks. First of all, we've got a lot of non-artifact cards, actually. It doesn't trigger off of lands because it only triggers off of cast. And we actually don't have that much card advantage. Like, we saw an 8-8 in that last game, so I guess it's pretty good. Like, I'm not going to complain about it. But I just think without a bunch of card advantage and us spamming Experimental Synthesizer specifically, Like, Patchwork Automaton and Experimental Synthesizer are so good together in an artifact deck. But it was still a good card in this deck. Ginger Brew, we didn't really get to see too much value out of the unblockability of it, although that's just because we always drew Vault Scourge. This is kind of our backup Vault Scourge, copies 5 and 6, when we do need that. I guess Barb Spike is as well. The deck is just so consistent. Portable Hole performed its job really well. This is a great removal spell simply because we're trying to kill our opponents so quickly. And when we kill our opponents quickly, they're not going to be playing that much that's going to be above mana value 2 that we're worried about. Like, we're usually going to be killing them before they're getting to their 3 drops and stuff. Not always, but you get the gist. Moonsnare Prototype, we saw it do something in that last game. The mana it generated was never useful. And the channel ability, I guess there's one value to the channel ability over anything else, and that is against control players. However, against control players, we've already gotten Soul Artifact on a bridge plan, which is fairly solid against some control decks. We've got some explosive damage. We've got Ward 2 on this. We've got sideboard copies of Negate. I think we're already, I'm not sure that having this be uncounterable is that essential. And, I might even just want a Banishing Light over this. Or perhaps even better, Touch the Spirit Realm, which can be a protection spell in a weird way. Not a very good protection spell, a really bad one. It resets counters and stuff, but on Mirror Enforcer in particular, I think Touch the Spirit Realm would be both a better removal spell and a better utility spell if we're not using it as removal. It's not an artifact, but the only cards that care about artifacts are Patchwork Automaton and Ingenious Smith. Ingenious Smith is already triggering fairly often, thanks to just the fact that we have 11 lands that trigger it. And Patchwork Automaton, I guess that's a problem, but I think just having it be an enchantment will be almost as effective in the deck, because all the Glitters and Machiko's Reign of Truth are both huge things. Sure, we can't Ensoul Artifact it, but I don't know. Ensoul Artifact's almost always going on a land or an unblockable threat. So that's Azorifact aggro, Azorius Artifact aggro. That felt so disgusting. The deck was so strong. Even the game that was close was just because we spent drawing half of our deck without drawing in all the Glitters or Machiko's Reign of Truth. We got one Machiko's Reign of Truth, our opponent removed it, but just drawing a second one immediately won us the game, even through all the craziness that our opponent was doing with Heliod and 5 different Soul Warden effects. Great deck. If you're wanting to get to Mythic, I think this deck can do it. This would be a deck that I would 100% consider if I was grinding my way to Mythic. With that, thank you everybody for watching. Please let me know if you want to join in a tournament at any point in the comments. Subscribe, all of that. I really do appreciate all the help. It's what got me back into making these videos. And with that, I hope you have a great day and keep enjoying Budget Magic.